Hey everybody. So I wanted this to try to be a vlog, quick little video review. I had recently checked out a new game that came out a while ago on the PlayStation 4 network called Blades and Bones, and I played it for nearly an hour last night and recorded the footage, and then just tested it, but the footage came out as corrupted. And I was going to try and play at least another couple hours, but hey, if that first hour is utterly unusable, I see no point really in trying to continue. And seeing as how first hour that I've played of it, I really didn't enjoy it that much, so let's go into a bit more detail. Blade and Bones is on the PlayStation 4. It's also on Steam. It's probably on the Xbox One as well. It goes for about 15 bucks. It described itself as a Metroidvania style game where, but it also has elements of Dark Souls in it. More or less, to me, more than a Metroidvania, this just feels really more or less like a Dark Souls style game, because it certainly has that style of combat. It's just not as well refined. It doesn't feel very good either. I really do wish that I had footage in order to emphasize this, but if you really want to see it for yourself, you can probably, look at some trailers for some examples. You're supposed to have two different types of attack, and a quick and a strong attack, but they both feel and look the exact same. They're both this type of a slash, but the other one is a tad bit slower, and you can do combos if you just kind of lightly mash the button in between each strike, but because you also have a stamina meter, you'll just wear yourself down. You also have an evasion. And part of the story of the game is that you are this race of people that upset your gods, or God, when you took up arms against each other and took away your ability to speak. And, which is a pretty interesting concept, where now you have to communicate through these special signs in a way that you can choose between, like passive, aggressive, questioning, dueling, and there was like one other thing, and each and every single time that you get into combat with another random opponent, which is really just somebody that just kind of looks like you, only with a different skin, and then type of a shoulder armament to them. But the combat does not feel very interesting at all. Dark Souls combat feels better than this. And I couldn't even get into Dark Souls really all that much. And that's really the shame of it, too. And it has a really lush and beautiful world, but there is quite a bit of pop-in as you're just walking around everywhere. And the fact that battles just kind of seem to be random, like at one point I'll just be walking around and, suddenly I got a guy following me who apparently I activated, some point, but I don't notice him because I get into combat with this other person that was in front of me, and now suddenly I'm fighting two people at the same time. Now, you can choose to just run away from combat, and what do you get out of combat? Well, apparently you get a little bit of experience, and sometimes they would drop a weapon, and that's another thing, is that weapons also have durability in here, and every other weapon that you pick up either has a different amount of strength or different speed, but they all just about looked the same. Now, yeah, this was pretty early, so it was obviously pretty common stuff. But a lot of what was going on in the game wasn't very well explained to me, and, there was a moment where I was walking around in a swamp, and when I first went into the swamp, the very first enemy that I fought in there killed me in one hit. So immediately I knew, okay, don't fight anything while you're in here. And I walked up to this random NPC who started talking to me, asking me for help. And the second I got close to him, he grabbed me and took away a bunch of my health and then says, "You are weaker, but you shall be stronger." And my health bar was down to that. which meant I could only take one hit. So I was like, okay, so I just received this quote-unquote gift where now I'm stronger, but my character is weaker as well, and this wasn't something that I could just choose to have. This was just something that was just given to me. Something I probably didn't even want. But thankfully, when you die, you just go right back to the same point. Also, everybody that you killed is just respawned, so very Dark Souls. But, oh, Dark Souls was far more interesting than this. Because at least Dark Souls combat was a lot more interesting than this. This is just lightly wander away from your opponent, wait for him to throw out one attack, rush in, and then just mash on the R button a bunch, and then back away some more, wait for your stamina, wait for him to make his one swing, and then go in and mash at him again until he falls over and dies. That's not interesting combat. That isn't. That is freaking boring. And I was wondering, how do I do any other move? Because I was coming up against opponents who were able to do a thrust attack, and then others that were able to do, like this light spin attack, and I was, messing with the controller and trying to see if I could, do any other attack other than this or then this combo. But that was it. That was all I had for a starter. Hell, Breath of the Wild has more interesting combat than this. Jesus. And I think the only weapons in the entire game are, just swords, but they're different type of swords that have different strengths and speed. But, man. And the sad thing is I was sold on the idea that in the game description it said that it was Metroidvania style. Oh, that's the sad thing. And even the reviews on Steam were saying that it was mixed. So, yeah. That first hour that I played of it, I really was not liking it quite a bit, especially with, the combat, not knowing where it was I was supposed to go. And this is a semi-open world, and I thought it was interesting how there would be these giant rocks in front of me, and you can jump, and how past the rocks there's another field. There is also fall damage, of course. And I thought it was funny how I couldn't jump over a boulder. How I couldn't, jump onto a boulder that was, just slanted. I thought that was kind of funny. How there are, in some cases, restrictions. Or how, in one point, I came to a port area. And I walked off of this dock, and I'm walking around the shoreline. And there's a boat that has been beached, I guess is the best way to put it, where it is clearly on shallow ground. And the water is not high enough so I could clearly walk all the way around it, but the game decides you're going too far out of the play zone, so we're going to kill you. Yeah, because that's perfectly fair. Let's just eliminate exploration completely. Let's just punish me for exploring. That's a great idea, game. Fuck you. Oh, and I nearly had a dialogue scene happen where I was on this bridge and I, activate a random opponent. And as I'm fighting him, this guy, this in-game character comes in from out of nowhere and starts trying to talk to me as I'm dead. So, and continued talking until I respawned and then stopped. So that was random. Yeah, it's just... this is a game that I was interested in, but man, yeah, I don't like it. I really don't. I was going to try and play some more of it tonight, and then probably try and play maybe another hour or so tomorrow. But given the fact that the first hour of footage that I have is unusable, obviously corrupted, so screw it, I guess. This game is only about $15. It looks nice. The combat is not very good. It feels very dull. Maybe it gets more interesting later on in the game as you're, maybe able to unlock some different moves or some different abilities. But, man, it should start giving you a lot of that fairly early into the game. I'd say at least about a half hour or so, if not an hour into the game. You should start being able to unlock abilities. I mean, you can start doing that in Dark Souls, or hell, in Nioh, you can start unlocking, new styles and new abilities, and you're already getting shit tons of different weapons and armor. Alright, well, everybody, I apologize for this rant, but this is a game I decided to cover, and, well, I didn't get to play that much of it, and, well, I really wasn't liking what I was seeing, so I guess just call it a first impressions. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. I'd really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter, support me on Patreon. Links are in the description down below. I'll see you guys next time.